All right, next team on the docket, Shane. This one's for you, buddy. Them Tennessee Vols. Over under 8.5. Tennessee. Now, we're going to have the odds maker that had, his name's Matt Lindeman. He set these lines. We're going to have him on the next episode, but I've heard him kind of discuss this a little bit. 2 games that he's got Tennessee as big underdogs, and that's, of course, Alabama and Georgia. But basically every other game, Tennessee's got a decent chance of winning. So let's go down the schedule real quick here, Shane. Right out the gate, Ball State. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Rocky Top. At Pitt.
Revenge. Got it.
Team Tennessee lost to last year, but they're losing a quarterback.
Does Peyton Manning know this quarterback? I'm just curious. Did he raise the quarterback up there in Pittsburgh, the backup, or is it just a one-time thing?
Their new quarterback is Southern Cal transfer. So, yeah, his first year in the system with a new offensive coordinator. You got to favor Tennessee in that one. Akron at home. Florida at home. That's going to be a big one. Then they got 2 weeks to prepare for at LSU.
Yeah.
Return home for Alabama. Then they get UT Martin at home. And then here's a critical 2-game stretch. Kentucky at home, at Georgia, Missouri at home, at South Carolina, at Vanderbilt. And let me show you. He also gave out a couple lines here, Shane, so I just thought you'd think this was interesting. He's got Tennessee as an 8-point favorite over Kentucky, which they're not too happy up there in the bluegrass.
Yeah, can you tag him on that one? So we're
And then on the road at South Carolina, Tennessee a 6-point favorite. So that's just an indication of how big of a favorite Tennessee is against 2 of the other tougher games they're going to face in the SEC East. So with that in mind, you going over 8.5 or under 8.5, Shane?
Yeah, I mean this is a tough one, man, because it's right about that 8-9 game is what you're kind of expecting from the Tennessee Volunteers. Obviously, I'm expecting a national championship run because I do every year, but realistically, there are some games on this schedule that you've got definite question marks, and there's some that you just don't want to talk about, like Alabama and Georgia. So those are 2 of your losses right there, potentially. But you're looking now at, 10 games played. So, okay, so they can only drop 1 more game among the rest of these opponents. One thing I do like about that question mark LSU matchup is it is coming up after a bye. I do like we're getting Florida early. Hopefully they haven't figured their shit out by week 4. So Tennessee could be humming along here, going to play Alabama at Tennessee. That could be fun. It could be exciting. The fact you got Kentucky at home. So I don't know. The more I look at the schedule, I love the aways. I love the homes. The one question marks, I guess some of those games that are riding the fence, a lot of those you got at home, like a Missouri, like a Kentucky, like a Florida. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that plays in favor of the Tennessee Volunteers this year. So, did you expect me to go under here, Mike? I'm going over, and I'm not as confident as I was maybe with the Georgia, but I would definitely put like 62 on this thing.
Okay. Yeah, I like that, Shane, and I think this over-under is going to be determined right out the gate with at Pitt, the Florida game, and at LSU. Because if they drop 2 of those games, no chance this is happening. But, with all the turnover there at Pitt, the revenge factor, that was a game Hendon Hooker didn't start. He came in, tried to rally the troops, came up just short. Man, I know we say this every year, every other year it seems like, but if they can't beat this Florida team, my God, we got problems here on Rocky Top. So,
right.
Florida, Pitt, you got to think Tennessee's going to be favored in both those matchups. You could still drop at LSU, which could be, one of the most underrated teams, particularly the way we're talking about them. Hell, we put out these over-unders, and man, LSU fans, I thought they were going to come through the mentions and choke us out. They are so high on what Brian Kelly's going to do, and maybe they're right. And if they are, Tennessee's probably going to lose because that game's in Baton Rouge. So you can afford to do that, though, with an 8.5 over-under, and I'm right there with you. I mean, the only other game aside from, of course, Alabama and Georgia, which Tennessee's going to be underdogs, heavy underdogs in those games, is Kentucky. Now, you can make the case Kentucky, that game maybe means a little bit more to Tennessee, but it sure as hell didn't seem that way last season on the field.
Right.
So, and it's in Neyland Stadium, so I got to give Tennessee the edge there. So I'm right there with you, man. I'm going over, and I'm going a little bit more confident than you, Shane. I'm going $70 on the over for Tennessee. I think 8.5 that's probably right where the sweet spot they're going to want it, because knowing Tennessee, they could slip up and drop a game they shouldn't, and 8 is going to hit. But I think 8.5 is the perfect number for the Vols right now.
Yeah, and as long as and I guess the asterisk by Tennessee Vols is keeping Hooker healthy. Mm-hmm. And we saw him banged up toward the tail end of the season, and I'm not super confident in the backups we got here down in Knoxville. But if we can, and it felt like we played a little bit more conservative, but we're still able to put some points on the board. So I think we'll be fine. But that's my only fear, brother, is because obviously if Hooker's down, Tennessee is a totally different program.
Mm-hmm.